Coming up on WVUA 23 News at 10, we have the perfect weather for donuts and coffee in the morning. I'll give you a taste of the Daily Does It next.
And colder temperatures are ahead, which means people will be bringing out those space heaters. We'll tell you how you can use them safely. And the latest after an early morning shooting in West Tuscaloosa. WVUA 23 News at 10 starts right now.
This is WVUA 23 News at 10.
And I'm glad to be back with you tonight. I'm Jabari Pruitt, and tonight's top story is that time of year again when we see many house fires, and many of them are due to improper use of space heaters, but there are ways to use them safely. WVUA 23's Mary Lou Lopez joins us live, and Mary Lou, you talked with firefighters today. How can we use those space heaters safely?
Yeah, Jabari, as the temperatures get colder, everyone just wants to stay warm at home, but remembering small things such as never leaving a space heater running all night can be a matter of life and death. A sound that no one ever wants to hear, but it's crucial for safety. Cold weather is expected in Tuscaloosa over the next few days, and many people will be bringing out their space heaters. After a long, hot summer, there are a few things that need to be checked before using your heater.
Be sure when you bring it out to make sure that it's dust-free, there's no dust on it, clean that off, then plug it in and make sure it's working properly before the temperatures do fall.
This is just one of the recommendations Battalion Chief Roger Potter has about space heaters. Potter says there are other fire safety precautions to keep in mind to prevent a house fire.
A kids-free, pet-free zone, and that is also be sure to keep kids and pets at least 3 feet away from the space heater.
House fires from space heaters are one of the most common causes in the winter, so learning how to prevent them is critical. Other tips include checking a space heater has been tested in a lab by ensuring it has a stamp on the box, always running a space heater on a flat surface, and most importantly, to never run the cord under a rug.
Plug it straight into an outlet and never use an extension cord with it.
Even if it ruins the aesthetics of a home, because safety comes first. And as always, Battalion Chief Potter says everyone should check their smoke detectors once a month, especially with the change in weather. Jabari.
Mary Lou, thank you. That's some good news there. Now, speaking of those colder temperatures ahead, Anna Duvall in tonight for Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott. And Anna, how much colder we will see these days coming ahead?
Yeah, we are expecting cooler temperatures ahead, Jabari, if we eat away at this forecast for National Dessert Day. You can see 7 a.m. tomorrow, 47 degrees is our low temperature. We'll warm up quite nicely by 10 a.m. We'll be at 58, and by the lunchtime hour, around the mid-60s, and we'll continue to warm until 4 p.m. 72 degrees will be our high, and we'll start to dwindle down by the end of the afternoon. But overall, a beautiful day outside, just a little chilly in the morning, Jabari.
Anna, thank you. FEMA has resumed some operations in North Carolina after it said over the weekend it was forced to pause aid in several areas impacted by Hurricane Helene because of reported threats made towards responders. Well, a 44-year-old North Carolina man was arrested over the weekend and charged with a misdemeanor related to threats against FEMA employees. Sherelle Hubbard has more.
In North Carolina, FEMA resumed door-to-door outreach to disaster survivors on Monday afternoon. That's after some FEMA operations were paused due to threats in some counties over the weekend. The pauses came amid a backdrop of misinformation about responses to recent storms.
Some of those stories just continue to persist at the cost of delivering needed resources to disaster survivors.
On FEMA.gov, it has a fact sheet. Myth: FEMA grant money is a loan that I will need to pay back. Fact: FEMA disaster relief are grants which do not need to be repaid. Myth: I'm a renter. I thought FEMA assistance was only for homeowners for home repairs. Fact: FEMA assistance is not just for homeowners. FEMA may provide assistance to help renters who lost personal property or who were displaced. Myth: FEMA asked for upfront payment to help fill out an application or perform an inspection. Fact: FEMA staff and inspectors never charge money for service.
We don't confiscate land. We don't have black helicopters. We don't have FEMA camps.
44-year-old William Jacob Parsons was arrested over the weekend after authorities said he made a comment about possibly harming FEMA employees working after the disaster of Hurricane Helene in the Lake Lurie and Chimney Rock area. They say he was armed with a handgun and rifle. FEMA said threats caused some FEMA offices to close temporarily. President Joe Biden touted the agency's recovery efforts in Tampa Sunday.
FEMA has delivered 1.2 million meals, over 300,000 liters of water.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Well, here at home, former Northport Mayor Bobby Herndon is making his third trip to help with hurricane relief efforts. Now, Herndon has a nonprofit called Benevolent Way where he collects donations from the community and makes trips to deliver those affected by natural disasters. Where Herndon will be making his third trip to help those still hurting from hurricanes Helene and Milton. Now, he's still currently collecting items. He has a room in his business full of supplies and well as supplies outside getting ready to be loaded and taken to Florida.
I've got enough stuff scattered throughout my office here to have probably 2 trailer loads. I've got a trailer load of water and a trailer load of supplies. I'm not supposed to be proud and boastful, but the citizens of our community are awesome, and I am so proud to represent them.
Now, if you want to donate items, you can drop them off at Herndon, Hicks & Associates or just give that money to Benevolent Way. In other news tonight, Pickens County drivers could pay a little more for their car tax. Now, the extra money will go towards funding the Pickens County Ambulance Service. This would be to sustain one additional ambulance for 16 hours per day each day of the week. Now, earlier in the year, Representative Ron Bolton met with the municipalities in Pickens County, and each have agreed to pay their portion of this $330,000 yearly cost to keep the service available. Now, Bolton said there could be a potential referendum vote for residents that would require them to pay $15 more for a new tag. But first, Bolton says each municipality in Pickens County will have a public input meeting from residents about a potential vote.
Due to the hospital closing down and a couple of other factors during reimbursements, the ambulance service has gotten to the point where they could not operate full-time personnel all the time. And we had long wait times, and we had the ambulance being out of service sometimes for 3 to 4 hours going to Columbus and to Tuscaloosa to transport a patient. It would approximately cover the cost. That's what we did. We looked at the cost and decided what level we wanted to try to set the fee at if they decide they want to do it.
Now, there is no timetable for when the plan could come up for a vote. Well, 2 arrests have been made in connection to an early morning shooting Sunday at Creekwood Village Apartments. Now, police say a 31-year-old male had been shot multiple times. Investigators say the victim ran from the scene to Westgate Apartments to make the call. Now, Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit and the Cyber Unit arrested 20-year-old David Waller III and 32-year-old Tanisha Thomas. Now, they're charged with attempted murder. The victim, whose name has not yet been released, remain in the hospital in stable but critical condition. Well, a single vehicle crash Saturday night in Pickens County has claimed the life of 61-year-old Ricky Rice. Rice, who's from Aliceville, died when his pickup truck ran off the road and overturned. It happened in Franconia Road, about 2 miles south of Carrollton. Now, troopers say he was not wearing a seatbelt. The cause of this crash remains under investigation. Well, the final phase of the Gardo bypass begins tomorrow. US 82 will be a 4-lane corridor stretching from the Mississippi state line to Tuscaloosa once this project is complete. The 8-mile project is expected to last 2 years, and the Department of Transportation say it will improve safety, mobility, and commerce in West Alabama. Well, AAA Alabama is offering free vehicle identification number etching tomorrow for members and non-members right here in Tuscaloosa. Well, this free service will take place between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Then etching involves stencilizing the VIN permanently and discreetly into the glass of all windows of a vehicle. Law enforcement encourages VIN etching is a proven deterrent to car thefts, and it may even get you a discount with some auto insurance companies. The process takes about 10 to 15 minutes per vehicle and is by appointment only.
Car thieves know to look for those VIN numbers on your vehicle. And if they want to steal your car and resell it, They can't do it with the VIN numbers on it, so they would have to replace every single piece of glass all the way around the vehicle, and that's a big hassle and a big expense for them, and most of them just aren't willing to do that.
The VIN etching takes place at 32 Merchant Walk, Suite 5A. Contact the number on your screen for more information and make that appointment. Well, coming up, the Kentucky Art Festival returns this week, but there are changes this year, and there's been another recall due to a possible contamination of listeria. Stick around. We're coming right back. And welcome back. We're joined by Exa Skinner, the Executive Director for the Kentucky Festival of the Arts. Thanks so much for being with us today. The festival this weekend, talk to me a little bit about what we can expect.
Well, the Kentucky Festival boasts nearly 300 visual artists, 2 full days of live music, spoken word performances from poets, authors, and of course, telling of Catherine Tucker Wyndham's ghost stories, Southern food from food trucks, just free activities for children, and some new interactive things for adults to do as well.
And this was the first year that it will not be at the normal location. It will be at Snow Hint. Now, what can we expect at Snow Hint? What is a little different this year? Now, walk me through what's new this year there.
Well, the biggest thing that is new that I think is really the jewel in the crown of Snow Hinton Park is that it is accessible to everyone. So if you use a mobility device, or maybe you're in a wheelchair, or maybe you're just uncertain on your feet, there are nice wide paved paths for everybody to walk on, and most of the artists will actually their booths will be on those paved paths, so you won't have to stray far from being on pavement, whereas in the past we've had to navigate some paths that weren't paved, that were a little more winding. So it'll be really easy to find things. We also have a new exciting sculpture installation that'll be in various places all over the park. So you'll have to show up to see what that's like. And in general, there's just a little bit more space. So you'll notice that everything's a little more spaced out.
And this, as far as like the artists, these artists are coming from up all over the country, right?
Absolutely. We have artists from New York and Portland, Oregon, California. We've even had some from, that spend time in Mexico, and some are internationally known artists. And we have around 200 spaces or so that artists can apply for, and then we have around 60 to 70 that are invited. And this year we had over 515 applications, which is the most we've ever had before. So it's going to be very high quality art.
And before we go, starts this weekend, time and all of that.
It starts at 9 a.m. Saturday until 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. Sunday till 4 p.m. and you can get your tickets at kentuck.org.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for being with us. All right.
Yeah.
In other news tonight, some meal kits are being recalled due to possible listeria contamination. The meal kits produced by restaurants find the foods were sold under the brand names Bistro 28 and Don Pancho. Now, they could contain chicken that has been recalled due to listeria risk. Now, the meal kits were sold in 30 states. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration said you should not consume any part of the kit. You should return the item to the store for a full refund or throw them out. Now, for more information, you can go to fda.gov.
Our temperatures this week will be dropping into the high 40s in the morning. I'll tell you when to expect this dip coming up next. Starting off tonight, in case you didn't know, we have a once-in-a-lifetime comet in the western skies. You can see this beauty right after sunset when the skies darken all week long. It will continue to rise higher in the sky as the week goes on. This rare comet won't return for 80,000 years, and while faintly visible to the naked eye, binoculars or a camera using extended exposure will give a vivid impression of its dramatic tail, as you saw in that video. That video was taken by our broadcast director, Charlie Abernathy. And tonight, we are in those low 50s right now. We're having a beautiful day across Tuscaloosa, and we're going to see that temp change as we move later into the night. We're actually seeing a 15-degree difference right now in Tuscaloosa than we saw this time yesterday. So that's a big change that we've seen. And this evening, as we move through the rest of our night, we're going to get down into those lower 50s, and we'll just continue as we move into tomorrow morning as well by 7 a.m. As we eat away at this forecast, 47 degrees will be our low temperature. So you're going to need that jacket as you're heading out the door. And we're going to see clear skies as we move through the rest of your morning and into those lunchtime hours. That's when those clouds will begin to build into our forecast, and 65 by lunchtime. And we'll continue to steadily warm up until 4 p.m. We're going to be in those lower 70s, and then we'll start to drop just a little bit as we move into that 6 p.m. and dark time of the day. So if we look at our temp trend, you can see that slight dip in our temperatures as we move throughout the week. On Wednesday, 65 will be our high, and that night into Thursday morning, 38 degrees will be our low temperature. So it's going to be really cold outside on Thursday, so you're going to need that jacket, but we'll slowly start to warm back up and get almost to average as we move into the weekend ahead. And we're going to be right above normal for this time of year beyond our 7-day. Now, we're a little chillier this week, but next week we are expected to be above normal in that range as we move on throughout the week ahead. Now, if we look at our extended forecast, we have lots of sunshine on the way for us. So we have chilly mornings too. We can see those low 40s, even high 30s for some days, but chilly mornings nonetheless. And we're looking at those upper 60s and low 70s for majority of the week. We start raising up just a little bit, Jabari, Saturday and Sunday, but overall, beautiful conditions for the rest of the week ahead. You couldn't ask for better fall weather.
And it's perfect weather for some chili, some soup, all of that.
Oh, yes.
You know?
You got to get your hot chocolate, sit outside, watch the sunset.
Now, how much you want to bet that with these temperatures dropping like this, people going to start pulling out those Christmas trees already?
Oh, yes. Everyone's going to be pulling out the decorations now if they haven't already.
Well, I know Stu McCann is not pulling out his tree just yet. We're going to see what he got coming up in sports. Stu, good evening.
Listen, Christmas begins after the regular season of football. We all know that right there. Tennessee takes a hit. They lose a leader on their defense ahead of the Alabama football game. We'll give you those details. Plus, both the men's and the women's basketball teams are ready to build upon already lofty expectations. Find out how Alabama has already achieved something that they have never done. And they haven't even started playing yet. That's next. Good evening, I'm Stu McCann filling in for Gary Harris. Not surprisingly, Tennessee is looking to recreate the magic of its 2022 win over the Crimson Tide, starting with the atmosphere. UT is calling for fans to once again orange out Neyland Stadium this Saturday, just like they did 2 years ago. You saw how that played out. A last-second field goal and the fans taking the goalposts and throwing them into the water. Last season, Alabama trailed by 2 touchdowns at halftime, only to win by 2 touchdowns. Head coach Kalen DeBoer is new, but he knows the players are fired up for the rivalry, and he says it's clear he has the understanding of the significance of this third Saturday in October.
I know that cigars are a part of it, but I know that what I'm trying to do is just make sure we do our part as a football program and, prepare so that people can celebrate and enjoy the rivalry on our end.
Saturday's game is DeBoer's introduction to the rivalry, but he's not a stranger to UT head coach Josh Heupel. When Heupel was developing his offensive style as an assistant at Oklahoma, DeBoer visited OU and took some notes. Heupel is also very familiar with Tide quarterback Jalen Milroe and the number the Tide hung on UT last season, 27 unanswered points in the second half in a come-from-behind win at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah, he's been extremely accurate with the football, been, pretty sound decision maker. I think while you're trying to apply pressure to him, right, so his guys, don't have all day to run around on the second and third level, you have to be mindful and not let him escape. His athleticism, when he does escape, is special.
Tennessee linebacker Keenan Peely will miss the remainder of the season, including this weekend's game, after a ACL injury in Saturday's overtime victory over Florida. Peely's the leading tackler on the Vols, who owned the number 2 total defense in the SEC. Peely also wore the green dot communication helmet. Heupel says he's heartbroken over the injury and has no plans. Didn't announce who will wear that green dot against Alabama, but that is a significant loss. Kalen DeBoer and Alabama picked up a win on the recruiting trail, getting junior college defensive lineman Cavante Henry to flip into its class, pulling him away from Mississippi State. Henry is a 3-star prospect who attends Cerritos College in Southern California. He's midway through his second season at the JUCO. And in 15 games, Henry has 13 tackles for loss and 5.5 sacks. Alabama basketball opens the season at number 2 in the Associated Press Top 25, the highest preseason ranking in program history. It should also not be a big surprise. Coach Nate Oates has said this team has the best roster he's had since he's been here 6 years ago. Alabama is the media pick to win the SEC, with the SEC preseason player of the year guard Mark Sears. Also alongside him, forward Grant Nelson, who was named to the preseason All-SEC second team. Big honors for the women's basketball team as well. Sarah Ashley Barker is a preseason All-SEC first-team pick for the second consecutive year. Not a big surprise. Last year, she led the team in points and assists while helping the team earn the elite NCAA tournament for the second consecutive year. 95 assists, 209 rebounds, and 556 points last year to climb her into the 1,000-point club for her college career, and she's ready for a breakout final season. A key piece to the Washington Commanders defense is done for the season. Defensive end Jonathan Allen is going to undergo season-ending surgery for a torn pectoral muscle suffered in yesterday's loss to the Baltimore Ravens. It's a big blow. Allen is a 2-time Pro Bowl selection. Finally, it's baseball. It's the playoffs. It's the Mets' Francisco Lindor teeing off as he takes the Dodgers deep on the first batter of the game. That snaps a record-tying scoreless streak. Before that, the Dodgers had gone 33-plus innings without allowing a run, but that broke open the floodgates. The Mets win Game 2 of the NLCS 7-3, and the Yankees take Game 1 of the ALCS, defeating the Guardians tonight. So we'll get a lot of baseball as we get into October, maybe even some November for the World Series. We'll be right back.
We have some warm days coming up tomorrow, especially 72 degrees, but we're going to dip down and have some chilly mornings Wednesday and Thursday, so be prepared for that as you come up.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We're back again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Have a great night.